Hello there and welcome to Fast Forward. Today I'm joined by the lovely Andrea Richardson, People Director for People Puzzles. Andrea has worked with senior leaders on major unprecedented change programs, and she brings a wealth of HR experience, including organisation design, employee engagement, and leadership and development. And today we're going to discuss hybrid working and what leaders can do to ensure it works. Welcome, Andrea.
Hello, Louisa. Nice to see you.
Great to see you. Very good to see you. You're looking lovely. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure.
What are the considerations for hybrid working?
Yeah, so I think it's a hot topic at the minute. We've been working at home for the last year, and there's a bit of hope that in the next few months we can actually start going back into the office.
Yes.
So I think people are starting to think about that. And I know the CIPD has done a sort of a survey of employers, and they reckon that about 40% of employers will have some kind of hybrid working. I personally think it'll be more than that. But hybrid working brings kind of the best of both worlds, really. It gives you a bit of freedom to work in the office. It gives you some flexibility about where you might want to work. So some people might choose to work in a coffee shop, for instance, particularly creative types who want that stimulation of different environments. You can maybe work in a different part of the country, or even maybe work abroad. So it really limits opens up where people can work.
Mm-hmm.
It also gives recruiters, leaders, that opportunity of a wider talent pool as well. So you're not confined to just people that are working in your local vicinity. You can actually become more global with sort of that home working, hybrid working. So yeah, it gives that sort of structure, it gives some flexibility, it allows you to be able to socialise again. I think we've all missed that socialisation with people, but also gives you that opportunity of some focused time as well.
So what's your advice then for leaders or HR professionals to ensure that hybrid working does work in their company?
One of the things to consider is actually, if you're going to introduce hybrid working, are you going to have 1 or 2 days a week where you say that everybody needs to come into the office? Because that will really then help with project kickoffs. You can have your team meetings all together, because what could be really bad for somebody is, imagine that you've got half your team in the office or 3/4 of the team in the office, all in the same meeting room, and 1 or 2 people that are dialing in on Zoom or Teams or whatever you're using. And I've personally experienced that as well. And actually, if you're the person on that team call, you do feel disconnected, because naturally people will look and talk to people because we need that body language. And if you're the person on the Teams call, you often can't hear everything that's being said because people will move away and they're not looking at the screen. You can't hear them and you don't feel so joined in. So one of the considerations I would definitely say is, if you're going to introduce hybrid working, maybe consider 1 or 2 days a week that you say everybody needs to be in, so that you have that connectiveness together.
Yeah, and actually that's not unusual in a sales environment, is it? Because lots of field sales, sales organisations ask their salespeople to come in. They used to on a Monday or a Friday. So yeah, that's really good advice. Excellent advice.
And if you can't, because you've got people worldwide, for instance, then maybe consider that everybody dials into that meeting on their own device, rather than some people being in a little room together and a couple of people being on their device. Just think about how you might feel, and maybe do it all virtually if you can't all be together.
Yeah, so I think it's still insisting on that kind of meeting, but meeting of the same minds in the same kind of environment, and not excluding anybody due to circumstance.
Yeah, so there's that. So I think communication is definitely key, but also think about how people are going to feel when they're coming back. So I've been having some chats with a few people in my clients over the last couple of weeks, and just doing it as a sort of a well-being check-in. And actually there is quite a lot of anxiety about people coming back into the office. They've got used to working at home. For some people it really suits them, they don't have the commute to work. So there is a level of anxiety, not so much actually around COVID, although obviously that is still a consideration for people, but just about that change of routine, a year at working at home, and all of a sudden you're coming back into an office again, and we've almost forgotten how to communicate face to face.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I think, for people that I'm talking about that are starting new jobs, it's catching the train to somewhere halfway across the country to go and collect their company car when they haven't moved outside of their hometown for 6 months or longer. And I think even for the employer to say, don't worry, we know that it's going to be out of your comfort zone. We know it's all going to be unusual. We know that everybody's a little bit apprehensive. We understand, and we're all going through the same. I think something as simple as that can really make that first day or that first day back much more comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. It is about understanding your team. And as you say, almost making yourself vulnerable as a leader. Show that vulnerability that you feel it too.
Yeah. So, fantastic. Andrea, our time is up. Thank you so much. It's gone so quickly. Thank you so much for joining me. You've been an absolute pleasure to have as my guest, and thank you for sharing your expertise.